Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Dead, one of my many dead YouTube channels, Zap Entertainment, where I used to do books and stuff. Um, it's a little dark only because it's late, and I really do not like shining light in my face, so it looks like this. But I'm pretty darn sure nobody's really watching as always. It's always been that way. Now that I think about it, looking back at my YouTube videos. People did watch some of my explosives entertainment, but eventually it got to the point when people stopped watching me completely, and I'm not exactly sure why. Um, but to be honest, if you know anything about me, I really don't care about my Let's Plays. I never really did. It was always about my books because I've always been trying for a purpose in life. And honestly, I just did Let's Plays just for fun. That's why I have a Zerdugu live stream. Just doing it on the side just to give me something to do. But however, the tide is changing a little bit. Well, actually, no. How about I start from the beginning with that? So I used to write my books, and I used to have either my sister or Gun Kid do my YouTube videos. Uh, read my books to you. I'm sorry. And that's how I used to do it. But everybody has abandoned me. My friend has abandoned me. My sister has gone off being a Frankenstein monster. Basically, she's completely changing herself. And if you guys know anything about my books, especially with Music Girl, I am against it. But uh, I do want to be clear, and I wasn't too sure how clear I was with Music Girl in the book particular, but I don't seek like burning them at the stake or anything like that. It's more of like I just disagree with the things they believe in. And the thing is, just because you disagree with somebody doesn't mean you want to hurt somebody. It's more of like you just don't want to listen to what they believe in kind of deal. And if they want to do their own thing, that's fine. I just have certain like things that they really should not be messing around with. Like for an example, they should I really feel like they shouldn't be advertising themselves to other people. And I also feel like they should definitely not be advertising themselves towards children either. Uh, but people they're still doing it, and they luckily there is seem to be some sort of battle against that. But I'm getting off topic here. Let's talk about my books in particular. um I think it was my opinions though on the game lesbian thing is why Gun Kid abandoned me, especially with Music Girl. And I've written books for the sake of of a purpose because originally growing up, I actually wanted it to be a screenwriter for movies. But the thing is, I realized I had no patience for it. It was too much. So I started writing books as as a start, and I realized that books were easier to deal with in terms of making them and releasing them and stuff like that. But as I went on writing, I've learned to discover that it can be very tedious, and eh, you know, there is a lot of work that goes into writing. There really is. Even if it it's really badly edited, which a lot of my books are. They're very badly edited. That's because a lot of times my editors would abandon me all the time, and as a result, it makes things kind of difficult. Now, people say, "Oh, it's because you have so much sexual content. It's because you have so much uh, hate for gay and lesbian stuff, so that's why people abandon you." Well, first of all, in terms of sexual content, not all my books are rated X. Matter of fact, I would say about maybe 10%, maybe even 16% of my books have sexual content. And the rest of it is more just towards things like combat or adventure or fantasy. You know, it's more that than anything else. And I would say that only, as of right now, there's only like maybe only one of those books I think that are anti gay and lesbian, which is musical stuff. But even then, I don't understand why there is so much hate. I wouldn't necessarily say there's so much hate to me, but it's not hate at all. It's actually the opposite of everything. What I'm feeling from other people is, well, a better way to put it is people are ghosting me completely, and I don't understand what they're thinking. It's almost as if I don't even exist, like as if I'm something that I'm just like a ghost to everybody and everything around me, and that's one of the things that really has been hurting me and causing me very, very much depression. And I think I've been close at least twice to uh, basically my own end. And because that today has been a holiday and nobody's been with me, I literally slept an entire day and no one wondered where I was. It makes me kind of think that if I did, um, let's say, disappear, um, no one would even really care. I'm sure that during funerals, the funeral, people will cry crocodile tears. People will pretend like they cared or knew who I was. Matter of fact, uh, through my life as an autistic human being or autistic man growing up, I always got this sense that people just see me as a child. I guess that's okay when you are a child, when you're growing up, where you're kind of like pandered a little bit, uh, is okay. And I don't mind. Okay, I'm gonna be clear. I don't mind being pandered to a certain extent, but I feel like but now that I'm adult, I have my limitations on how much I'm pandered, and um, and I'm still being pandered to a certain extent, but it's more of like, well, this is their job and this is what they do, and they don't really necessarily care about their clients and stuff like that. That's pretty much the feeling I kind of feel. I'm not too sure if that's really true. I think it's probably just in my head. My depression does make me perceive things in a very dark view, even if it's not really true. And it does make things kind of difficult. And because of my autism, I do have a hard time communicating with strangers and stuff because I have like this thing where I get really nervous around strangers. Um, but yeah, as but going back to let's circle back to my books real quick. I worked really hard, blood, sweat, and tears, and I've been ghosted for so long. There's not even a like people like dislike. There's not even people who are disliking my books. There's no one who's like giving me like their opinions. There's no opinions, there's no human element to people actually reacting to my books. There's no reaction. It's like I build no. A better way to put it is if I am sitting down and I'm reading a book to somebody, to people. But except that when I sit down with a book, no one's there. No one. It's like as if the world has been extinct and I'm the only human being left alive and I'm reading to ghosts. Actually, you know what? I'm reading to nothing. I'm just reading to the air. And that is so lonely and isolating that I just don't want to exist because it just makes me feel that my existence is not supposed to be there. It's like I'm something that's not supposed to exist. And that's how I kind of feel with, you know, things. I'm just looking at my timer. Uh, yeah. But the tide is changing. And the reason why the tide is changing is because even after Gun Kid has left me, a friend of mine on Discord has talked to me, said that he will start reading my books from my YouTube channel. Honestly, I do not believe him because I've been through so much hell that it's really hard for me to believe in anything good at this point. Um, Honestly, to tell you the truth, all I've been doing is just running towards escapism at this point. And I look around the world and I see that people are in different crises. You know, I am part of what's called the lonely men epidemic. But here's the thing: I'm in the same boat for different reasons. And since I've been in a place, let's just say a place where people who attempted to disappear, I've noticed something with other people who attempted to disappear. Everybody has their different problems. And a matter of fact, some people are in even worse situations than I am. But here's the thing I've learned: it doesn't necessarily matter if a person has less problems than the other person. But what I've learned is that a person's problem is their own problems. And sometimes a person cannot solve their own problems without help from an outside source. And if you cut off those outside sources by your own choice, then that person will sink in quicksand. And I feel like we're all sinking in quicksand. But we're not showing any amount of humility and understanding of others. Instead, we're living in a world of pride and self empowerment, of like people who only care about themselves. And when you do that, you isolate yourself or put yourself on a high pedestal, thinking that everybody and everything is beneath you. And that causes pain and destruction to everything, not just people, but the world itself. And I feel like I'm like a mouse that's under a footnote of the world, like everybody else. And yes, I'm in a different situation than other people, but it's basically almost the same boat. I might as well be on the same boat as someone who's dealing with schizophrenia issues or like multiple personality problems. You know, I might as well be in the same boat as them. People who are dealing with some serious mental issues. Not just mental issues, but also the same issues of just like loneliness and just neglect and because everybody's being neglected for very different reasons, but it's all the same, you know, spot. It really is the same spot, and it's really painful to be part of that same sinking boat where it just feels like no matter where you go or how far you escape in your mind, the reality is you're still sinking. And it doesn't really necessarily matter how far you escape into your dreams, how far you get high, or how far you get into your video game, you're still sinking. And that's the sad part. And you know what's even worse though, and this is what pushed me to write Music Girl, is when I was watching some YouTubers explain that um, a YouTuber was explaining that yes, men are feeling this, but on the side of women, they think it's an empowering thing of like super girl power or whatever. Listen, I have nothing. There's nothing wrong with women standing up for themselves, but when they get to the point where they're like, these giant lions that are just stepping on other people, that's when I cross the line when I say that they're no longer women, they're no longer human beings, they're monsters who only care about themselves and they're hurting others. This, listen, I know that the idea of monsters that monsters need to be slain, but I don't. But in real life, I don't think it's that simple because violence only breeds more violence. Um, so I feel like in a real world, when you deal with people who have just become monsters, you the first thing to do is to try to reason with these human monsters and try to get them to understand that the pain and destruction that they're causing to the emotional damage that they're causing to other people. And if they can't understand and if they refuse to understand, I think is the right word to use for that, the refusal. That's the problem. People are refusing. We have the internet. We have ways of communicating. We don't have to go outside. Personally, honestly, to tell you the truth, I think it's more dangerous to go outside in groups because even if COVID is dead, we can still have another like sickness that can go around and start killing people, especially during how cold it's been. I honestly feel like it's better to be sent in your own house and communicate on like programs like Discord but people refuse. People refuse to communicate with people. And that's part of the problem. People are refusing to communicate. People are refusing things. And you know what? It's the same with the issue with books. Books have been dying off for a long time, and the issue is that people are refusing to read. Now, I did not understand why this was the case because not only am I autistic, but I also have a learning disability. I'm very slow. Okay, I'm very, very slow. And as a result, one of the things I could do is I could never actually learn how to actually read or write very well. I have to use programs for my writing. I have to speak into my microphone while they're typing for me. But what I've learned, okay, this needs to be straightened. I need to straighten that out first. Is that apparently children believe, oh, we have AI, we have all this stuff that can do things for us, so why do we need to learn this? Is is the issue why books are dying because people don't think they need to read anymore. But actually, if it wasn't for books, movies and video games would not exist. That's what people do not understand. And so, honestly, it kind of hurts that writing is my only ability to tell a story, and yet people are refusing to read it because they think they don't need to read it or whatever. I feel like they're missing out because, okay, I'm not gonna say that my books are fantastic. I mean, like, I feel like my books do have room for improvement, but the only way that I can improve is if people actually read them and then give me a reaction, like tell me What do they think? They think it's good? They think it's bad? I could handle a little bit of criticism, especially if they're respectful and trying to say, hey, this wasn't a good idea. Try doing this instead. And that would help me evolve. It would not make me feel like I just don't exist. And, even if it's them saying that, even if they are just giving me a simple compliment, would be fine too. But honestly, I would actually prefer them to be a little more critical, a little bit, just to like help me evolve and change. That's what I want to do is to push forward to a future. But the world is dying. There's like literally no future for anybody, not even me. There's no future for anybody or anything. And that's the thing that is cripplingly and hurting me in every step of the way forward. But the thing is, the reason why I have not disappeared is the fear of pain. I don't fear death, I fear pain. And if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be here talking to you guys right now. And that's the thing about that really needs to be understood. And now that things are now that I have somebody who's saying that they want to help me with my books, I'm actually going to go back to my older books, and either I'm just gonna let Byaka-kun read to you guys because no one's with me to read my books anymore, or I might have Punky read my books on my Zap Entertainment. Um, God dang, I went into a rant and I really shouldn't have, but I feel like this is important. I feel like that rant is important to help you guys understand what I'm going through, and maybe I can get some people to actually, respond to that, but I highly doubt it. But anyways, going back to what I was saying, that now that I have Punky, I am gonna go back to my older stories, and I'm gonna see if I can try to start reposting them on Zap Entertainment. Maybe, maybe. My mom said she will edit my books if I decide to go back to writing. But the thing is, I haven't heard from her for about a week, and I don't know. She's ghosting me at this point, and I don't know why. She might be very busy. Which is fine. I'm okay with her just being busy. But I would like to hear her say if she's willing to do editing for my books or not. If she's not willing, then I'm just gonna quit as I go back to quitting because I'm not going to fight something that is just gonna refuse me every step of the fucking way because I'm tired. To be honest, guys, I'm only in my mid 30s, but I feel like I'm like 80 years old or something, and I just don't have no energy. Like I just feel so old to the point where I feel like I really shouldn't be chasing dreams anymore. Personally, I'm at a point where I'm just like I just want to sit down and let old age take me because I'm just so tired. I ran a marathon of, fighting like so much neglect to the point where I just can't I just can't keep going forward. But all I can do is move forward. I'm forced to move forward because my fear of pain. If it I really wish I could stop feeling pain for just 25 hours. If I could stop feeling pain for 24 hours, yeah, I would make myself disappear because then maybe the pain will stop. I want the pain to stop. I want all my emotional pain to stop. Okay, the truth is, I do want to actually have a little bit. I don't care about money. I want fame, so I have people to discuss art with. That's what I want to do. I want to discuss my work and other art out there, other people's work. That's what I really want. But since that doesn't exist, I want to do the alternative, which is just disappearing because it's becoming less, well, there's less purpose and there's no future, no place for anyone to go. It's not the men loneliness epidemic isn't a men loneliness epidemic. It is a human loneliness epidemic on a both sides scale of both women and men. The world has become lonely. The world has disconnected. The world has become self-empowered to only thinking about themselves. And doing so, we have made a future of extinction, and we're being pushed toward it. We need if we want to avoid extinction, then we need to let go of our pride. We need to let go of our pride. We need to turn around and push back with humility and understanding of other people. That's what we need to do. And that is the message I want to send through my books, but I can't. Well, I could, but no one, absolutely no one, will listen. Why? Because, like I said before, we're self-empowered and only think about ourselves. We need to destroy our pride, but we won't. Why? Because pride promises that we won't feel depressed. It promises that we can defeat our depression. But here is the truth. We can't defeat our depression. Why? Because depression is a part of us. It is a part of how we developed as human beings. Defeating our depression is cutting off our arms. It is basically self-harm. We're only harming ourselves by defeating our own depression. Now, I'm not saying that we should let our depression consume us. No, 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 no. What I'm trying to say is we need to negotiate with our depression, understand why we feel that way, and understand it with humility and understanding of ourselves, of each other's people, and that is what we need to do. That's what I've been trying to do, but I can't do it because people are just leaving each other. And that is what's killing everything and everything around everybody. That is what's killing the world. That's what's happening. That's why we're so lonely. This is why we're so depressed. This is why the suicide rate on the men's side is so high. Men are very stoic. We don't like the idea of letting pride consume us. So instead of allowing the pride to consume us, sometimes we decide, you know what, it's better just to pull it a bullet to our brain than let it consume us. However, on the other side, women, they don't see it. Women don't see the monsters they're becoming, so they're letting themselves become monsters, and as a result, they're just hurting the other people. Here's the thing, if any women are listening, here's the thing. If men disappear, you're next. You're all next. You will all disappear because without men, you cannot make children. And if you use technology as children, eventually that technology will fail. It is guaranteed. We need nature to be with us. And if we try to cheat Mother Nature, if we try to why am I ranting so much? I don't mean to rant this much, and I do feel like a lot of that was important to hear, but I think what's going on with my depression now is I'm feeling a lot of strong emotions where I just want to fight back. I want to fight back, but I can't because I'm fighting a tornado. A tornado that it's getting bigger and bigger and it's consuming everybody, including me. I can't fight it. You can't fight Mother Nature alone. You can't. even though the tide is changing. I can't do things alone. So all I can do is wait out and see what the future holds. And the future is what we make of it through humility and understanding. If we cannot find humility and understanding, then I will disappear and we all will disappear. And that is my final word. So please comment your opinions on this. And this is Zurduku signing out, and hopefully I'll see you again on Zap Entertainment.